I think for me, the most difficult thing about being a newsroom manager now is that you're trying to do things that people 10 years ago were doing, but with probably half, if even less than that resource. So the most difficult thing all the time is trying to figure out how to maintain quality with less cost, and that affects all areas of the business and all areas of the paper. I think one of the most difficult things to do is to convince people that it's worth the effort, that this is, you're going to get, if we can do this right with less people, we're going to sustain a paper for another 10 years or whatever it might be. But it's also making people feel like they're not just being flogged to do that, and it's figuring out how to do it with less cost but without flogging your staff until they fall over or turn to the bowl. So that, for me, is the most difficult thing, and you've got to keep coming up with innovations and different ways of doing things. One thing I haven't spoken about, one thing that we do, which I think is really important, it kind of comes back as to how to handle the incoming calls, is harnessing the wealth of PR companies that are out there today. What we've tried to do is forge contacts with 4 or 5 key people who are ex-journalists working in PR, and say to them, instead of flooding us with press releases that we're not going to use, write us things. We don't, if you're going to give your client a bit of bang for their buck in there, that's fine. As long as it's actual journalism, then treat that as another resource. Then you're cutting down all the phone calls that are coming in during the day, or the useless press releases you have to wait through. You're always going to get people from London ringing you about the new Nivea hand cream or whatever, but if you can harness every little bit of content that you can turn into something useful, is invaluable. You can't afford to turn away anything like that anymore.
Mm.